Welcome back. It's time for my next TBR video because it's almost May. Don't ask me how that happened. It doesn't feel like it should be the end of April yet, but here we are. But yeah, so let's hop into my May TBR. First off, I have plans to continue my books with the same title series. Fun stuff. In this case, we've got The Bad Place and The Bad Place. This one being a Dean Koontz, which is why I picked it up, because I like Dean Koontz a lot. But then when I was looking, I also saw this one that had the same title, and I was like, why not make it a combo thing? I think they're both kind of thriller stories. I mean, definitely that's kind of Dean Koontz's forte, but I think this one is also kind of a thriller, so that'll be kind of a fun little bit of variety compared to the fantasy slash romance slash nonfiction that are the majority of books that I've been reading so far this year. So looking forward to a little bit of variety that way. I'm also just looking forward to a Dean Koontz novel, because those are always a fun one to pick up. And so yeah, that's the start of it. Next up, we have one that is probably familiar because I'm pretty sure it's been on a TBR before, but that is The Cabinet. I have not actually started this book yet, even though I've had it and then had to return it and then gotten it again from the library. But this time, I really mean it. I really want to read it. It sounds really interesting, and I really loved all the Asian translated works that I have read. And this one just sounds intriguing. It's in an office setting, but I think it's kind of a magical realism sort of style thing will end up happening with it and stuff. And I'm just intrigued. So I really want to actually get to this finally. So it's going on the TBR. Next up, we have one that's again kind of out of my usual forte. This is Reboots. And then Undead Can Dance is like the subtitle on it. This is a Mercedes Lackey science fiction novel that she wrote with another person who I don't know, but I like Mercedes Lackey, but I don't always like sci-fi, but I want to see the two merge. Also, this one sounds like it's kind of a comedic story and stuff too, so that sounds fun. Kind of a comedy sci-fi. I did like reading Douglas Adams, so I think comedy and sci-fi are maybe the good route for me to go, and I'm hoping this will deliver on some of that fun stuff. So yeah, so there's that. Next up, we have a horror novel that was originally going to be in a books with the same title thing that I was doing, but I ended up not wanting to get into the other Misfit books that I found, but I still have this Misfits because it sounds intriguing. It's got kind of almost dystopia vibe to it. There's these creatures that are preying on humans in the woods outside of town, which I guess is not super dystopia, but it just kind of gives me that vibe the way it's described here. It does say actually that it's during the height of the 90s grunge era, so that's very much not dystopia. But it sounds intriguing. I like kind of monster stories and stuff, so I think this will be a fun and interesting one to get into. So that's my next one on the list. Then next up we have Theodosia and the Serpents of Chaos, which I will admit I picked up purely for the title, having serpents in it, but it's also like a middle grade kind of level, and I haven't read a bunch of those yet this year, but this one looks cute, and I really like middle grade, so I wouldn't mind beefing up that part of my reading list for the year either. So I think it should be cute. I also really like this art style on the cover. I think it's cute, and she's got a little cat, so it seems like it's gonna have some elements in it that I will like, just from these basic aesthetic-y kind of things that I'm judging it on. So hopefully it lives up to that. Then next up, we have my nonfiction that I'm planning on for the month, and that would be Why Fish Don't Exist. And this one is about a taxonomist, and he had all these collections of all these different fish that he was identifying and stuff. And then the San Francisco earthquake comes along and kind of destroys his collection. And then it kind of talks about his recovery from that and how he adapts his collection, I guess, after that event. And it just sounds really intriguing, and I really love the title. It just makes me laugh every time I see it. It makes it sound kind of like it's going to be a different topic, honestly, because it makes it seem like, oh, we've classified them incorrectly or something. But either way, I'm intrigued by it. I think it'll be a fun one. Looking forward to it. And then lastly on my list, we have Librarians of the West. Yet again, another genre I don't really read is Westerns, but this is 4 novellas that are about librarians during the Wild West times. I think they might also be mostly romance-seated ones, but I'm intrigued. I think it sounds kind of fun and different. I like the concept because you don't really hear about that particular part of history, but I know that there were like librarians and things back then, so I hope there's some fun historical elements that are within it too. So that's kind of why I picked this one up. And since it's novellas, it maybe doesn't count as a short story collection, like how I've been trying to read one a month. I don't know. Someone else can decide that, who's not me. But this is kind of taking the place of that at this point. But yeah, that's my TBR. A nice big ol' list of books as usual, but hopefully kind of some fun variety for next month too, since so many of those are slightly out of what I would normally be reading. Let me know if you have any fun plans that you want to read in the month of May. If you happen to have read any of these books and want to share your thoughts about them, I'd love to hear that too. But I think that's all I've got for now. This is the Uma Harper signing out.